Well, hello again, Internet. We're out on a new route today. We just punched this into the app, and let's kind of see where it takes us. We just told it to give us a route of about 10 or 12 miles, and that's what it did. So, ride along. Let's see what we find out together. Well, hello again, Internet. Welcome back to the channel. Like I say, I'm kind of starting to use these apps the way they were designed to be used. And so I just told it, take me, the Komoot app, I told it, take me on a round trip, 12 miles. I think I did between like 10 to 15 miles, something like that. And it ended up about a 12-mile trip that it suggested, and it gave me about 4 or 5 suggestions. And I went ahead and drew them up, seeing which one kind of looked the best. And I said, you know, I know where that's at, and let's go ahead and go that way. Never thought about cycling it. And so that's what we're doing today. And so we're just out headed through some farm territory here. You know, these are all folks that I've known for a long time. Haven't been in touch with them for a while because I'm kind of out of the ag industry a little bit. But you know, we talked to all these guys. Matter of fact, I bought or I don't think I actually purchased it, but a farm-all tractor from this guy right here. And he got a nice bull setting out there. We're gonna come down here and start up. I believe this is still a gravel road. It was the last time I knew. Right here, this is kind of interesting. This green house right here in front of me. Interesting little story about that. You see it there. That house wasn't always there. Michele was out here one time driving. This was years and years and years ago. And a drunk come by her, just about run her off the road. And so she followed him, got on the phone with 911 and was following behind, you know, at a safe distance to find out where he went. He come up over the hill, lost control, slammed right into that house, went straight into the living room, and it unfortunately it killed the guy. And Michele had to go into the house. There was a kid in there by himself. She would have to tell you how old that child was. I want to say about 12 maybe, but she had to bring that kid out past that guy and you know, wait for the law enforcement to get there. She witnessed the whole thing, and then they got there, you know, and the house was totaled. They completely totaled the house. But I thought, you know, how much of a blessing for that kid not to be sitting in that living room when that car come through there. And she said when it topped the hill up there, that guy had to have been going over 100 miles an hour. And you know, it's just, it ain't worth it. It's just not worth it. What do you mean turn right? Oh, okay, they don't want me to go to the left. I guess they're calling this a turn right. This old farm road here, we used to ride out through here quite a bit. There was a guy at the end of this road here, and when I was very young, like just moved out here, he was pretty old at that point. Old enough that I had plenty of respect for his horsemanship ability, because he rode him a crazy app. Let me put it this way, I had a lot of respect for how well he could set a horse. We'll put it that way. Because that thing would be all over the place. And he'd be saying, yeah, she gets a little upset. Oh, what do they got here? Looks like they're tearing down they have some tenant houses down here. Looks like they're tearing them all down. But But he'd just sit astride that horse and just hold a conversation while he was kind of all over the place, and he was probably close to his 80s at that point. And I had a lot of respect for how well he could sit a horse. That's for darn sure. I kind of thought as well as he could set one, he maybe should have one settled down more than that. But you know, he just rode when he needed something done. He wasn't interested in getting the horse any better because he knew he could sit it and get something done. We helped him collect up a lot of his cows. Up here, they had a tendency to get out because they didn't have the greatest fencing in the world. But yeah, he sure could set a horse. So, and that's coming up right here up at this farm. And it looks like they took down a lot of the migrant housing. There was another one back here that was down. They've still got all the cows running here. I know they turned this farm into a bit of an educational thing, bring in some new income. And so they hold some things here for the schools, and then they'll do things like they've got corn mazes and things like that, you know, anything to bring in some income, because you know, farming is a tough way of life. It's a tough way of life, you know. It's 7 days a week, 24/7. You never get a break from it. You're always on call 100% of the time, and you're kind of at the mercy of the market in there, because you've already put your investment in, and the market, boom, can change just like that. So, you know, anything they can do to make some extra, well, they go ahead and look at it, implement whatever they feel like they can get a good return on the investment. Some brand new fencing coming in now. We was just talking about the fencing. Now, this is going to be some pretty stout fencing here, I can tell you that. I'm not sure what he's putting in there, but he's going to have some pretty nice fencing. Plenty high enough, that's for sure. But anything that you can do to get a return on a good return on the investment, well, you're liable to do. You know, we always thought along those lines. Always thought along those lines. So, it's the lazyO farm now is what it's called. And we're coming up here when we get to the end of this gravel at a pretty steep hill. This bike went straight on up it, but I thought it's going to be pretty fun to drop down. It looks like they sold this to somebody. They broke up part of it. Yeah, well, this is part of the lazyO farm, so I have a feeling that's going to be some kids that moved in on this piece right here, kind of set it up for themselves, because it is a part of the lazyO farm. And here's the type of fencing that we were always having to go get. You know, a bull would go right through that, and then of course all the cows would go on through. I don't know that he even had the barbed wire. He got a barbed wire down below. He must have some goats in there now, or he did at one point, I guess. Maybe had some in with him, because that's usually why you got one piece of barbed wire on the bottom. But they'd just go through that one piece of electric just as easy as could be. You know, I'm seeing, just an observation, but I'm seeing an awful lot of gates around here going into alleyways, not into necessarily fields. And that tells me he's had a lot of people out here trespassing at some point. And generally, about the only place you use gates on alleyways like that is if you're typically working horses and you've got some separating and bringing them out that way, or if you're doing a large cattle operation. He's never been a real large cattle operation. There's one lonely little calf way out there. There's his mama. There's his mama. She just got out in front of him a couple 100 yards. But here's the lazyO farm. Like I say, they do a lot of educational stuff here. So it's changed a lot since I was young. That's for sure. So as soon as we top over this hill, we are going to, I must have a lot of people coming through here pretty fast, because They're telling you slow it down. But we're gonna see what happens when we start just drifting on down this hill here. And you know, like I said, it was a pretty good incline. Wasn't a big deal to come up, but I thought that's going to be a nice one to drop down. So let's go ahead and let her roll. We don't even need no electric here. Well, that was a fun one. So no power, and get a mountain bike up to right at 30 on the Komoot is what it said. So hey, that's going to do it for this one here. We're going to head back in. We're about 3 miles out, 4 miles out, but we'll catch you on the next one, Internet. And hey, until that time, stay safe, God bless, and keep the wheels turning. Once again, we're out.